Awa, you've covered Syria from the start. What do we know about the government's capabilities and stockpiles when it comes to chemical weapons?
Well, unfortunately, Michael, not as much as one would actually like to know. Syria is believed to have one of the largest stockpiles of chemical weapons in the world. U.S. intelligence has in the past said that they do believe that these stockpiles have been moved around the country, but exactly how much exists, exactly what the Syrian government's capabilities are, no one is entirely sure. And of course, no one has really been able to penetrate the psyche of the Assad regime to understand, to fully understand whether or not the government would undertake such action as to launch a full-scale chemical attack against its own population. That being said, many opposition activists who we're talking to do believe that there will come a day when they are going to have to face that reality, and they are trying to prepare themselves as best they can. But realistically speaking, there's not a lot that can actually be done. All of this, of course, coming into sharper focus now that U.S. intelligence is assessing, and it's important to look at the language that they're using with varying degrees of certainty that they do believe that such an attack has already taken place, albeit on a small scale. They do believe that the government has possibly used sarin gas at this stage against its own population in a few attacks, perhaps 3 to 4 of them, Michael.
And you mentioned the wording being used by the United States and the West in general. Indeed, there will be plenty of let's say, skepticism in the Middle East and elsewhere when the West does talk of WMD because of what happened in Iraq. Is that a point of discussion there?
It most certainly is. Many people remember the fiasco that was and still is the war in Iraq that was based on faulty intelligence that utterly devastated that country. We do see the U.S. itself in the language that it's using being incredibly cautious, saying that even though this initial assessment has been made, they are still waiting for clear and corroborated facts. That being said, you know, we heard President Obama talking about how the use of chemical weapons would be a red line, but many of those who are really living this war every single day will tell you that this red line was crossed a long time ago. We're talking about a war that has lasted for a little over 2 years, that has cost 70,000 plus lives, that has utterly wrecked the Syrian population. To give you a very moving example of a woman who we met over the last few days, a Syrian refugee, she fled with nothing. The refugee population in and outside of the country, these are people that have lost their homes, their livelihoods, everything that is associated with those basic memories that we carry with us. And I asked her what she had taken as she was leaving Syria, and she said nothing. They lost everything, but her daughter had put a little bit of dirt from Syria inside a plastic bag, and they carry that with them. So many people will tell you that now is the time to act. In fact, it was the time to take concrete action, whatever it may be, for the international community to truly come together and bring about an end to this war that is not only impacting and devastating Syria, but of course is going to have a spillover effect for the entire region.
Yeah, and does already in many ways. And as you say, an entire society really ripped apart by all of this. I want to go back a little bit. We've heard the rebels say that chemical weapons have been used against them. What do we know about their ability to know for sure what has been used and where it's come from?
Well, we're hearing from the commanders of the Free Syrian Army that they most certainly do believe that chemical weapons have been used in a number of attacks in Homs, in the old city, a few months ago, following that an attack that took place in Aleppo, one on the outskirts of Damascus as well. The great concern, of course, is how to protect themselves and protect the population should a greater, larger scale attack take place. When we were in Aleppo in December, we spent